Once upon a time, there was a kind and wise king. He ruled his kingdom with love and fairness, and his people admired him greatly. But there was something unique about this king. He had only one leg and one eye. Despite his physical differences, he never let it stop him from being a great ruler. He was brave, intelligent, and always looked after his people. One day, as the king strolled through the palace, he noticed the long hallway filled with portraits of his ancestors. Each painting showed kings with strong physiques, dressed in fine armor, looking proud and regal. The king paused and thought,
I too want my portrait to hang here, so my people can remember me long after I'm gone.
But then he hesitated.
How will the painters show me? Will they focus on my missing leg and eye? Will my portrait look strange or incomplete?
These thoughts worried him. However, the king decided to try. The next day, the king invited painters from all corners of his kingdom. When they gathered in the court, he said,
I want one of you to paint my portrait. It must be a beautiful painting that shows who I am as a ruler.
The painters exchanged nervous glances. They whispered among themselves, unsure of what to do. One of them stepped forward and said politely,
Your Majesty, it is an honor, but we are afraid we might not do justice to your portrait.
Another added,
We wouldn't want to offend you by failing to show you properly.
Slowly, all the painters excused themselves. The king felt disappointed. He sighed and thought,
Maybe they are right. Maybe no one can paint a beautiful portrait of me.
Just as he was about to dismiss the gathering, a young painter stepped forward. He bowed deeply and said,
Your Majesty, I would be honored to paint your portrait. I promise to make it beautiful.
The court fell silent. Everyone was surprised at the young man's confidence. The king looked at him carefully and asked,
Are you sure? Do you know what you're promising?
The young painter nodded.
Yes, Your Majesty. I see more than what others see. Please trust me.
The king smiled slightly and said,
Very well. Take your time and do your best.
The painter began his work. He spent days thinking about how to show the king's strength and character while honoring his physical uniqueness. The painter decided to focus not on what was missing, but on what made the king remarkable. Finally, the day came to unveil the portrait. The entire court gathered in the grand hall. The young painter stood nervously beside the covered canvas. The king entered, and everyone grew quiet. The painter removed the cloth, and gasps of amazement filled the hall. The painting showed the king sitting proudly on a magnificent horse. His missing leg was hidden by the side of the horse, and he held a bow, aiming an arrow with one eye closed as if focusing on a distant target. The painting captured the king's bravery, skill, and determination. The king stared at the portrait for a long moment. His face softened into a smile, and his eyes glistened. He said,
This is perfect. You have shown me not as I appear, but as I truly am.
The court erupted in applause. The king rewarded the young painter with gold, fine clothes, and the title of the royal artist. He then turned to his ministers and said,
This painting is a lesson for us all. Everyone has strengths and weaknesses. This painter chose to see my strengths and show them to the world. We should all learn to look at others this way.
The painting was hung in the royal gallery, and visitors from far and wide came to see it. It became a symbol of hope and positivity in the kingdom. Similarly, in our lives, we often focus too much on our flaws or the flaws of others. But like the young painter, we can choose to see the good in people and celebrate their strengths. When we look for the best in others, we bring out the best in ourselves, creating a kinder and more understanding world.